Welcome to our Sticking with Chemistry series celebrating Chemistry Week 2020. I'm Rebecca Reed and I'm part of the Outreach Department here at the Fort Worth Museum of Science and History. We're so excited to have you join us today. Let's get started. Today we are going to be making hard candy. So as you guys know, the theme for Chemistry Week this year is Sticking with Chemistry, and so we thought a great activity would be candy making, where we use sugar, which is a sticky substance, and corn syrup, which is another type of sugar that's extra sticky, and we're going to make something kind of yummy and fun. So I'm going to kind of go over all the things you need, and then we're going to kind of make it together. So you're going to need a few different things. You're going to need a heat source, probably your stove at home, but here in our studio we're going to use a hot plate. You're going to need white sugar. You're going to need some powdered sugar. And the powdered sugar you use to kind of dust the candy afterwards so that it's not as sticky when you touch it and you're able to like eat it easier. And then you're going to use the corn syrup too in the candy making. Now you use the two different kinds of sugar because with the kind of candy we're making today, you don't want crystals to form in it. So there's all different kinds of candy. I'm sure you guys know it's almost Halloween. And so things like fudge candy, we want very little crystals. And so we'll do certain things when we cook that to control that crystal formation. If you've ever had rock candy, that is really large crystals. The candy we're making today, we don't want it to grow any crystals. We want it to be clear. We want it to do it, act a certain way. And so what we do is we use two different kinds of sugar, because that makes it harder to form crystals because they don't link up, they don't fit together like Lego blocks fit together really well. If you use one kind of sugar, the molecules fit together really well. If you use two different kinds, they don't fit as well anymore. We're going to mix all of our ingredients in a pan. So you're going to need a saucepan ideally with a thick, nice, hard bottom. You're going to need something to stir with. You're going to need a tray to pour your candy into, and this is where you're going to put the powdered sugar, a layer of powdered sugar in. You're going to need a cup of just regular water. And then another thing you're going to need that will make it easier, there's ways around it if you don't have one, is a candy thermometer. And a candy thermometer will take the temperature of the sugar solution we're making, and depending on how high you heat that candy solution, it'll act different ways. And so there's different kinds. There's hard crack, soft crack, firm ball, and then way down low is chocolate milk. So we are actually going to take our candy all the way up to the hard crack stage. So hard crack, an old-fashioned way of doing it is they put that sugar syrup in cold water, and hard crack it would form a hard ball, like a hard strings that could crack. And so that's what they do. If you don't have a candy thermometer, you can try a different thermometer, or you can use the old-fashioned method, and you can find more information about how that works, what to look for on the internet. So we're going to get started. Okay, so for this recipe, you're going to need 2 cups of sugar, and I've already got that in there. You're going to need 1 cup of water, which is also already in there. 2/3 cup of corn syrup, and you want the light kind, not the dark kind. And then there's flavor and food coloring, which we'll add later in the process. So what you want to do is you want to get this on the heat. You want to have it start to melt and all the sugar dissolve. And eventually it's going to start boiling, and that's good. So we're going to take a break while I'm stirring and while this is dissolving. And we will come back when we've gotten a little further down the process and there's more to kind of tell you about. So as your sugar syrup starts dissolving, it's a great time to install your candy thermometer into your pan and to start getting your pan ready for your candy. So you'll see the bottom of your candy thermometer usually is red, and it's that part you want to make sure does not rest directly on the bottom of the pan. Now my candy thermometer won't let you. It has a little thing so that it doesn't touch the bottom of the pan, but that's just an important thing. You want to measure the temperature of that sugar syrup that you're creating, but you do not want to measure the temperature of the bottom of the pan because it'll always read a little bit hotter. And that way you can help watch this. So now what you're going to do is you're going to wait. It's going to start to boil, and you're going to let it boil till it gets all the way up to about 310 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the temperature we want. And it takes a while. It's kind of funny. And you want to watch it because you don't want it to burn. Sugar will burn. And so you do want to stir it while it's boiling. You want to be careful though because hot sugar is very hot and it can burn you. So this is definitely something you want to have a parent help you with if you're going to do it at home. And there's lots of candy recipes online. So definitely take a look and see the one that will kind of work for you. So we're going to take another break while we wait for this to come up to boiling, and then we'll kind of follow up with what we do next. Okay, so now we've been boiling our sugar solution and we have reached the hard crack stage, which is around 305 to 310 degrees. So you're going to take out your candy thermometer. Now be careful, all of that sugar that's dripping off of it is 305 to 310 degrees, so it's really hot. You want to set that aside. And then you're going to take your sugar solution off the heat. Now it's time to add flavoring and color. So you're going to need to decide what kind of flavors and colors you want before you get started. And we are going to be doing lemon in ours today. And so we have our lemon extract that we're going to use. You're going to put about a teaspoon of that in. So I have a half teaspoon thing. So I'm actually going to put in 2 because this is a half teaspoon measure. And then you're also going to want to put in your food coloring. And you should use about a teaspoon, but if you have a little dropper bottle, you can just kind of squirt it in however you want. Then you want to stir that up. And it's going to crackle and pop a little bit because the food coloring is water-based. And so it's going to boil when it hits that really hot solution. And if you look, you can see mine's nice and yellow because I added yellow to go with my lemon. Now, while we were boiling, we prepared our pan. And what we did is we sprinkled powdered sugar all across the bottom of that. And we do that because it helps it then not stick. And it makes it not real sticky when you're using it with your fingers. Okay, so now this is all mixed up, so we're going to gently pour it into our metal pan, and it's going to get hot. So actually, I'm going to move it over here to this paper, to this folded towel to make sure that we don't have any problems. You're just going to pour it, and once again, 310 degrees, folks, very hot. So you want to make sure you're careful. We don't want anyone to get burned while they're making their Chemistry Week candy. So you want to scrape that out. Get all that good sugar out of there, all that stickiness, because we're sticking on chemistry this year. And then you just have to let it cool. And so we'll come back and we'll show you what this looks like after it's cooled off, and we'll show you what to do next. So we'll be back in just a little bit. Welcome back. So we've let our candy cool, and it took a few hours to cool, and you'll notice it gets hard, but it's still warm and different things. And once it's completely cool and hard, it's time to kind of get it out of the pan. Now you can see I put some more powdered sugar. Let me find a good spot. I put some more powdered sugar on the top. That's a personal choice. You don't have to do that. And so what you're going to want to do, I used a disposable pan, which makes it a little bit easier to get out. But if you used like a cookie sheet or something, it probably didn't fill up the whole thing. So what you're going to do is you're going to slowly kind of get that out of your pan. You want to try to knock off the extra sugar. Work on that. Okay. I want to knock off that extra sugar. Okay, so you can see it right there. So I'm going to set it down here on this tray. I'm going to cover it with a towel because we need to break it up into pieces. Another name for this candy is glass candy, and it's because they'll break it up and it looks like shards of glass, like a broken window or something. So I'm going to cover it up with this so we don't have candy going everywhere. And I'm going to use a hammer. If you have a mallet for like your kitchen, one that you use for meat, that would probably be just as good. We don't have that here, so we're going to use a hammer. I'm going to gently hit it. It's going to be probably a little loud. Okay, so the towel keeps it from going everywhere. And then you can see it's broken it up into little pieces. You can see they look like little pieces of glass. And so the more you bang it, the smaller your pieces are. And then it's ready to eat. So I hope you enjoyed this very sticky chemistry activity, making candy. This is just one kind of candy. Like I said, there's all different kinds you can make using chemistry. So we hope that you enjoyed our 2020 Chemistry Week series, and we hope to see you soon at the Fort Worth Museum of Science and History.